Hey guys, welcome back to Token Tech. Today I'm going to do a video response to a video from Mac Address where they compared an iPad to a Samsung tablet, and I just don't think they gave it a real fair shake. And this is going to be my opinions on their video and on the question they asked, which is, do iPads have competition in 2022? If you don't like these kinds of videos, feel free to skip this one. I'll be doing more tech review videos coming soon, but in this one we're going to do a talk about their video and just answering that question in my opinion. Okay, so the TLDR of this video is that if you are a person who wants simplicity, a clean design, something that's consistent and easy to use, get yourself an iPad. If you're willing to get your hands dirty with tinkering with different settings and customization and things like that, go ahead and get yourself a Samsung, both of which are fantastic devices. So let's get into it. What were my issues with their video? Well, it felt like they were making a critical mistake, which was not really understanding who the Samsung tablet is for, what's their target audience, and looking at it from purely, is this an iPad or not? It felt like, honestly, because it wasn't an iPad, it lost a lot of points in their favor. I really just don't understand why. And I also don't think they really gave it a fair comparison. And I'll get into my reasons for that. But basically, my video, we're going to break it down into a couple of points. And the first one being customization. So who would like a Samsung tablet? Well, a person who likes to customize the crap out of their devices and their software to achieve a look, a feel, a workflow that you can't do with an iPad. An iPad comes the way an iPad are designed to be used. If you like that, then you'll have no problem. But if you don't like how they look or how they feel or how the workflow breaks down, you're going to hate it. And so having the option to customize it is really important. Back when I used to use a Samsung phone, my last Samsung phone was the S21, I would still download Nova Launcher and customize all the gestures and settings and folders and tabs and everything to make it look and feel exactly how I wanted it to feel and look and the workflow. And I really, really like that. And the fact that I could back up that file and then download it again or download it to a different device and it would look and feel the same way was really awesome for me, which would be totally different from someone else's S21, right? But you cannot do that on an iPad. Now, if you're someone like me who likes to do that and likes to spend time doing that and trying things out and reverting it and changing it, then you're going to enjoy a Galaxy tablet, whereas you might not enjoy an iPad. The next thing on the list is third-party support. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, in their video, they brought up that the Galaxy tablet had a really crummy keyboard. I don't know many people who enjoy the Samsung keyboard. I hated the Samsung keyboard, and so I always downloaded a third-party keyboard. Now, you could argue, well, the Apple keyboard on the iPad is pretty good out of the box, and you're right, it is pretty good out of the box. But you could also argue that there are way more options on the Samsung tablet using Android that you can find something that really fits you, and then you just download and use that keyboard. I really don't think that's a big deal. Now, again, to someone who doesn't have the time for that or doesn't have the knowledge for that or just wants something to work well out of the box, I get that. Get yourself an iPad. But for someone who, again, enjoys tinkering, enjoys customizing, enjoys going into the settings and messing with everything, they're not going to have a problem with that. So third-party support is definitely better on Android, and that is coupled with another big issue that you can't do on iPads, but you can do on Android devices is side-loading apps and having alternate app stores. You can have the XDA developer app store. You can have the Aurora store. You can have, I think it's called like F-Droid. You can have the Amazon store. You can download any app store you want alongside the Play Store, or just download specific apps and sideload them so you're not actually downloading them from the App Store. Okay, you can download modified applications and all different things like that onto your Android device, which you can't do on an iPad. For someone who enjoys doing that, for someone who relies on that, for someone who uses that regularly, an iPad isn't going to fit the bill for them. Okay, so having that third-party support, having other app stores, having the ability to sideload apps is really important. And that goes along with other niche use cases like emulation and emulating retro games, which you can't do on an iPad, but you can do very easily on Android. And it's actually something that I miss now that I have an iPad. One of the things that bothered me in their video was that they talked about Samsung DeX. Now, if you don't know, Samsung DeX is a virtual computer almost. It's a desktop environment in Samsung devices. So if you have a Samsung phone or if you have a Samsung tablet, you can use DeX. Now, DeX is useful, but it's definitely not good enough to replace a real computer. And that lies the crux of the issue, but we'll get to that. I personally use DeX a lot when I was at work on my work computer just so I could have a separate device to use. I could use my own data, I could use my own messages, I could use my own apps, and it was really convenient. At home, I would use wireless DeX to connect to my TV to use a web browser and again, other apps that you can't use on a smart TV. They brushed it off as, well, it doesn't work very well, which I don't think is true because they didn't use it with a mouse and keyboard and instead suggested to use a MacBook. Now, this is probably the most Apple response that you can give. Instead of using Samsung DeX, which is a built-in desktop environment, which again the iPad doesn't have. The iPads don't have built-in desktop environments. Pull out a whole MacBook. Use that instead. Well, yeah, of course. If you have a laptop, use that instead of DeX, whether it's Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. And then they go on to say, well, look, and now my iPad is a secondary display for my MacBook. Well, guess what? You can do that with your Galaxy tablet and a Windows computer. This is where they really lost me because I'm thinking to myself, how does having a computer, another device, and then mirroring or extending the display challenge DeX? It doesn't answer DeX at all, and instead you just then overlook the fact that the Galaxy tablet can do the same thing with a Windows computer. So if you have a Windows laptop, you can use it as a secondary display wirelessly too. So honestly, this is where they really lost me. I don't think they gave it a fair shake. And then moving on from that, it has features like expandable storage with an SD card. I don't think any iPad has ever had that. Expandable storage with an SD card means you can spend less upfront, and if you need more storage, well, you can buy an inexpensive SD card, pop it in there, and bang, you have more storage. On an iPad, if you don't buy the storage you need upfront, which is very expensive in some cases, then you have to go and pay for iCloud. Can't do an SD card, which really, really sucks, honestly. Okay, so we have customization, we have third-party software, we have side-loading apps, we have emulation, we have other app stores, we have SD card slots, we have features that honestly don't exist on iPads like DeX. We have feature parity, such as using it as a secondary display. But why do I still think that most people should still buy an iPad? And why did I finally decide to get an iPad? Well, here's my reason, and that is software support and updates. Basically, security updates. So if we look at Apple's track record, the longest supported iPad has 9 years of updates. That's the iPad Air 2. All right, most iPads get between 5 and 7 years of updates, and especially if you get it at the right time, your iPad could get 6 to 7 years of updates. If you look at Samsung, their track record is pretty bad with 2 years, maybe 3 years, and now they are promising 4 years on the Galaxy Tab S8. Now, 4 years for a $700 device honestly just doesn't seem like enough to me. Really isn't enough for me to spend that kind of money. At that point, I'll just get a laptop. I know that's not a one-to-one comparison, but the software updates are important to me. Now, on iPads, again, like I said, 5 years is like the smallest amount that you'll get. Usually 6 to 7 years, or maybe you'll get lucky and get something that gets 9 years of updates. That's huge. And so when you're talking about the same amount of money or even less for an iPad, that makes a really big difference. Big difference for me, which pushed me to give up a lot of those features to get an iPad because, well, it is still a great iPad or tablet experience, but I know I'm going to get years of updates to come. That's why I think most people should get an iPad, which is why I've gotten iPads and iPhones for my parents, because I don't want to have to worry about their stuff getting out of date and them getting hacked or something, and why I think most people should get it. But if you're okay with 4 years of updates, and you want all of those other features, and those really matter to you, then please go get yourself an Android tablet. So, do iPads have competition in 2022? Yes, they have healthy competition from Samsung. I think their tablets are phenomenal, they're gorgeous, they work really well, and they offer you an experience and features that you just cannot get on an iPad. All right, let me know what you think down below. If you saw their video, let me know what you thought of their video, and let me know what you think of my video. What would you go with and why? Anyways, I'll see you in the next video where I do more of a tech review. Catch you later.